Hey everybody, this is GGB, and today we're going to talk about week 4 of college football. It's going to be so cool, guys. It's actually going to be a really interesting week. We finally get to see a lot of conference matchups, more than we've seen in the past couple weeks. We haven't really gotten to see that many. Normally you take your 3 non-conference games in the first 3 weeks. Some teams are different, though, like Penn State, for instance. They played Purdue week 1, and that's a conference matchup. So, again, we're going to see some of those this week. But the majority of interconference matchups are going to start this week. I'm talking about this. The 3 games I'm talking about here are not, well, except for I think Coastal Carolina, Georgia State is. But moving on into games like on Friday and Saturday, we're going to see a lot of them, and they're going to be really interesting. But at 7:30, we're going to be talking about a team I didn't think we were going to be talking about after week 1. At 7:30, we got West Virginia, which is 1-2. That's not the team I'm talking about. Talking about Virginia Tech, which is 2-1. West Virginia favored 2.5 points on ESPN, and West Virginia is coming off. Let's do the stats real quick, and then we're going to talk about both these teams and how they've started through the first 3 games. JT Daniels for West Virginia has gone 67-104 through 3 games. Throws for 753 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. CJ Donaldson, their tight end, is leading them in rushing yards. 29 carries for 274 yards and 6 touchdowns. And Bryce Ford Wheaton through the air is leading them in receiving yards with 24 catches for 296 yards and 4 touchdowns. Grant Wells for Virginia Tech has gone 63-96, then for 651 yards, 4 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and has a 65.6% completion percentage. Keshawn King on the ground has had 23 carries for 175 yards and a touchdown. And Caleb Smith through the air has had 8 catches for 131 yards and a touchdown. West Virginia leads the series 29-23 all time. Last game went to Virginia in 2021. The last Virginia Tech victories were in 2017, and they have won 3 out of the last 4 times these teams have matched up. Let's talk about West Virginia for a little bit. Their season started off rough, right? They lost the heartbreaker in the backyard brawl where JT Daniels was leading on them on what a lot of people thought was the possible game-winning drive before a ball went straight through the hands and was bobbled in the air of a West Virginia wide receiver. It landed in the arms of a Pitt corner who returned it all the way for a touchdown, and that was a heartbreaking way to lose a rivalry game like that. Moving on to week 2, they played Kansas in a game that was a lot closer than a lot of people thought it would be. Kansas was actually giving West Virginia a little bit of a fight. So the game ended up going to overtime. And in absolutely a twist of irony for West Virginia, the game ends in a pick 6 once again. And they lose 2 games back-to-back off of pick 6s, and it was absolutely heartbreaking for Mountaineers fans. They got an easy FCS opponent last week. And that was a great chance of showing what they were capable of, and that's when they won a football game for the first time. So West Virginia has had a rough go of it to start, and a lot of people thought that would be Virginia Tech's start after they lost an absolutely ridiculous game week 1 against Old Dominion. Old Dominion won 20-17 in that matchup, in a game where statistically Virginia Tech dominated, and it looked like the superior football team, and it looked like the team that should win the football game. Grant Wells ended up throwing 4 interceptions, and they turned out to be costly in that game. And all those interceptions ended up mattering in the end. And obviously, the blocked field goal return for a touchdown for Old Dominion is a 10-point swing. But in a game it ends with Old Dominion winning by 3. It is a tough one to lose. But Virginia Tech bounces back after that game and wins a big game at home in their home opener against Boston College. And that is a big game to win. Boston College might not be the best ACC team in the world, but they are an ACC team. And it was impressive the way Virginia Tech bounced back after a miserable loss like that. And on the bright side for Virginia Tech, Grant Wells has yet to throw an interception after that 4-interception Old Dominion game. So Virginia Tech has since bounced back. They dominated a Wofford team last week. And a lot of people aren't talking about this Virginia Tech team, and they shouldn't be. There's a lot of things wrong with the Virginia Tech Hokies, but one thing is not wrong with them is Brent Pry's defense. Brent Pry's defense, they're playing phenomenally well. They're playing like a top 5 unit in college football right now. The most points they've let up in a game is 20 points, and most of those points were not exactly the defense's fault. So, the Hokies are playing phenomenal defense right now. And if Grant Wells can just play turnover-free football, this could be a really close game. West Virginia's probably the best offense they've gone against so far. JT Daniels, throughout all their flaws, the Mountaineers' flaws, he's played pretty dang well outside of the pick six against Kansas. West Virginia has played pretty well. I think this is going to be a really close game. I think it's going to be a really interesting game, and I think it's one Virginia Tech pulls off the upset at home.